我哋翻位，我哋夠鐘開會啦嚇。
Members, please return to your seats. We have to resume our meeting.
因為點解實在太多嘢仲未批，希望大家同。
I'm anxious to get things done because there are so many items waiting to be approved. Please speak on the subject in question. That is the ground level space. Okay? Please don't just criticize the chairman. Mr. Jeremy Tam, 3 minutes. Just let them speak. 3 minutes is 3 minutes. Whether it's spent by you or by me, it's the same 3 minutes. I supported a discussion because we were in such a hurry. I didn't quite digest what we have talked about. And this is just shown to us. This piece of paper has just been shown to us. Well, if you have more space, you can allow more standing room for more people. And now we have some time to look to consider this. Mr. Ao is not with us. Otherwise, he would be able to explain this to us. If we are going to have one fewer, or we are going to take away one staircase, I don't know why there would be more space for accessing the MTR station. Because if you take away the staircase, you won't be staying there. You will be going over to the other side of the footbridge. So it's not going to serve any useful purpose. The MTR entrance is just as wide. So you sort of create a pocket-shaped space. And it says this is in order that we can cope with the increasing the people flow. So is it really about retrofitting a staircase in the future when there's a need? Well, it's only good that we have a discussion so that we can understand what is being suggested in writing. There are many factors unknown to us. I don't know what this motion is trying to achieve. Well, you are talking about more space, and if the staircase capacity is already 90% reached, then there will be no need for a new staircase. But on the face of it, I find this motion not supportable. I'm more inclined to support. Actually, I support this. And not that I have any engineering background. And the wording of the motion is ambiguous. And that is the motion reads, this committee proposes that the new footbridge should be linked with the old, or the staircase should be combined with the new staircase. I think it's a engineer wise possible. I talk about this as a big project. It takes 3 years or so to complete. Well, I shiver when I think of what would happen to Kwun Tong Road or Kwun Tong when such a big project is being carried out. There are 70 bus routes crossing that road. And you are going to use some of the space on Kwun Tong Road for works. So you can just imagine during festivals, during peak hours, what would happen. And the cost is very high, $117+ million. So if you want to carry out a project like this, why don't you do a good job? I think the government is keen to learn from the mainland. And it's a famous remark made by Premier Zhu Rongji, and that is, if we are going to suffer pain, better get it done quickly so that the pain is short rather than long. So please consider this suggestion in the motion carefully. Dr. Lo Wai Kwong, I do not support this motion under paragraph 37A. I think the government departments have considered the design in great detail, and the staircase, well, is really needed. Perhaps I can give the remaining part of my speaking time to the officials to explain why they need the staircase. As I've said, well, there's no time provided for government officials to respond. You can simply say why you support or do not support the motion. In that case, I do not support the motion. My reasons are similar to those put forth by Mr. Jeremy Tam. It's important to make sure that it provides an easy access for the pedestrians. The proposal might be, or the comments might be valid, but is the solution lies in this motion 37A? I have doubts. Maybe the comments are valid, but I don't think this motion provides the right solution. I hope members would carefully consider whether to support it or not. Otherwise, this would cause delay to the project and it will not improve accessibility. Well, Mr. Au Lok Hin asked this question a number of times, and the government departments have responded to the questions repeatedly. I've been reminded by the clerk that I may give some time to government official at the close of this debate to respond. Well, Chairman, you don't seem to trust the Deputy Chairman. If you need to a water break, just say so. You don't need to resort to other tricks to try to stop us. Well, I support this motion moved by Mr. Andrew Wan or Mr. Au Lok Hin. There is an existing footbridge with a staircase. As you can see from the paper, the new footbridge would add to the existing width, and therefore the volume of users would go up. So it's only reasonable to cope with the increased people flow. And this is a new access that would connect the MTR Exit B with the new cultural center. And there's a need to have a proper diversion of different people flows. So you will have a wider bridge, increase the capacity, and at the same time we make a little bit of sacrifice by doing away with one staircase. This is in line with the original intention. This is going to be more cost effective. We are concerned about the cost because we have been talking about traffic diversion that may be required, given that the road is very busy and we need to carry out this new project. So if we at the same time we can have more space on the ground floor, we can cope with the increased volume of people. It's very difficult to increase the space in the future, increase the space of the footbridge. It's just like building a new bridge. I think that this is a worthy motion to discuss and a worthy motion to be supported. Let me give you some information. We're going to have a break after 2 hours of meeting, so the secretariat staff have to go to have a water break as well. So Mr. Fan, please understand this. Please don't speculate on what I have to do. It's natural to have a break after 2 hours of meeting time. If I didn't tell people this, people might think that what you said is true. Mr. Kwong Chunyu, well, no need to be emotional. First, this motion is moved under paragraph 37A, and we have agreed to deal with it. We hope that we can allow different views to be expressed as far as possible for the benefit of the departments. Because if we express our aspirations before the funding approval is given, it's going to be better than asking them later. This is about increasing the space, the size of the space for accessing the MTR station, as in other projects. Well, very often the projected or the actual people flow may be higher than the projected one. So why don't we do something during the construction and provide for more or higher capacity? That's the spirit of this motion. And paragraph 37A, I hope the Works Department would try to get this done. Because sometimes you have to make changes in line with the geological conditions, etc. I don't expect major modifications, but if the space that you have provided in the design may not be sufficient to cope with the people flow there. So we have now provided a possible solution, and that is let's deal with one of the staircases so as to maximize the utilization of the footbridge. Well, we are not experts about this. We have to seek advice from the departments. But the spirit is this. You are going to go ahead. We have been very prudent in assessing the funding proposal. We hope that the project would will be utilized to the maximum efficiency, and that you don't have to retrofit anything in the future. Let's give a bigger provision of capacity. So with this remark, I support the motion under 37A. Mr. Wilson, no, I voted against the dealing of this motion. As I've said, this motion is very important to the local district. That's why I asked the question when this could be completed. If we give our approval today, it said that it will be completed by the end of 2022. I hope you would do it quickly, because there's people have been waiting for this anxiously.
Well, it doesn't matter whether the government answers me or not, but the residents want me to ask you this. Now, when this project is approved, or when this motion is passed, what will happen? Now, we are all very concerned about the construction cost, and now it is $173.5 million. So when we approve the motion, do we have to pay more, and how much would that be, and how much longer will the construction take? So the residents there and stakeholders are very concerned about this, so I want a response from you. And yes, after doing this, the accessibility of the neighboring area may be improved. However, that staircase can also serve as a tool for diverting crowds. So if the administration has time, please let me know. If this motion is passed, do we need extra resources, and will it be included under these projects, or would you have to go through another series of formalities? And how long would that take? Mr. Ho Chi-fung? Yes, of course you are very anxious. Yes, there are a lot of items. But of course the pro-establishment camp always want to help the government. But there are other things on the top of our minds. How about countering police brutality? I'm talking about police brutality. It's also a very urgent issue, and a lot of grievances have to be addressed. Well, please come back to this issue. Now, for this issue, yes, I've heard members' discussions. I've studied the documents, but I'm not a technical person or expert. Now we are looking at this motion under 37A. I think it's very meaningful. It's more meaningful than the technical aspects. Now, if you look at the FC procedures, 37A, well, you can see that without advance notification, we can move a motion. And why is that? Because during the discussions, you may discover problems. These problems may be technical, or they may be about principles. So we have to put forward such issues. And if the government doesn't listen to us, then we may move a motion and see if the committee agrees to it. So it will become a record, and we are thus held accountable. However, this is a distorted council. The government has been giving us meaningless or frivolous answers. It doesn't care what the majority of the people think or what the pandemics think. They just won't adopt our views. So that's why we are moving the 37A motions. We want to leave a record in the minutes. But whenever this is handled, well, you would resort to systemic violence, and you won't even handle these issues. So this system is meaningless. So now a 37A motion is moved, and the pro-establishment camp is lazy. The members are not here. Then eventually this motion is passed, and we want this motion to be passed because systemically there must be changes. The government should listen to people's views, and the pro-establishment camp cannot force things on us. I'm not a technical expert, but I think this motion is worthy of my support. So, Chairman, I've explained why I am supporting this motion, and I think it's more meaningful than the text itself. Holden Chow, as to whether we should handle this 37A motion, well, most of the time, if we do not handle motions like this, is because such motions may increase the cost or construction time of the project. But now we've started this debate, so I would like to ask some more questions. Now, if we look at this motion, that is, if the staircase is to be removed and the footbridge area is to be increased, I want the government to tell me this. If you are really doing this, then how much more time do we have to spend on this project? And how much more money do we have to pay? And procedurally, what do you need to do? Do you need extra time to go through the formalities? You have to let the public know. And also, just now, I've been listening to members' views. They want to make use of this so that the footbridge area can be increased. However, some other members have pointed out that if there is one staircase less, then it would not be conducive to pedestrian diversion. So can the government give us an answer? If this motion is to be realized, and how much more time do you have to spend on the project, and how much more money do you have to spend? No other member would like to speak, so I'll ask the government to answer. Well, I would like to respond to several major points. First, for the existing footbridge and the new footbridge, we expect that with the new bridge, we can cope with the pedestrian flow very comfortably. And the connection is now extended by 2 meters. The footbridge itself is 6 meters wide, and for the connection point is 8 meters wide. And for the two existing footbridges, they are for the residents of Outer Kok to cross over Kwun Tong Road to the MTR station. And they can also go to the bus stops for taking buses. So we hope that the residents can make use of the two footbridges, and they won't be creating more congestions. Now we will need to keep the original staircase, so we cannot widen that part. For the new footbridge, if we do not build a new staircase, and for the elevated walkway part, we cannot widen it throughout, and we can just widen a part of it, and that would not be useful. Maybe the Director of Highways can supplement. That is whether it would mean extra time and money. Well, I would like to make a point. For the two staircases, they are to take care of the pedestrian flows of the original footbridge and the new footbridge. So if we have one staircase less, then technically there may be problems. Because for the old and new footbridges, and there are staircases there, but they cannot be connected. And for the existing footbridge to its north, there is another footbridge which leads to Choi Ying Estate. And when the pedestrians go to the old footbridge, and if they want to get to the ground level, then they would use the old staircase. So the two staircases are needed. If we have one less staircase, there are technical problems. And when we conducted our consultations, the residents already knew that there was this staircase. And if we cancel this staircase now, we may have to do a new round of consultation. And technically, we need to find out how we bring the pedestrians on the new footbridge back to the old staircase. And so it may take some time. We also have to look at people's response, whether they accept this option or not. So there will definitely be a delay, right? Yes, the time will be longer. Half a year, 1 year, or what? More than that? Okay, no, now you know if you support this motion, then there will be significant delays. There are a lot of criticisms from the public already. Mr. Andrew Wen, 1 minute. I said very clearly just now. For this motion, I moved it together with Ao Nok Hin. I've explained the reason already. That is, we hope to give the government another opportunity. That is, we hope that the footbridge can be redesigned. Yes, for any modifications or changes, of course, it takes time and money. But it's not our responsibility because you didn't do a good job. It's our responsibility to tell you that. Just now, the chairman made a lot of accusations saying that we shouldn't counter propose. If that is the case, then in the future, we shouldn't counter propose anything because that would always involve costs. Well, it may involve the pay of the civil servants also because they are sitting here. Okay, but we want to do a good job here. So I think members can analyze by themselves and then take the vote. So does anyone want me to ring the bell? Okay, now let's ring the bell for 5 minutes.
聽唔到。
主席開唔到開咗。主席
Chairman, if this 37A motion is passed and if we approve this project later, what do we want the government to do? Now for 37A, this motion is not legally binding. The government just have to give us a reply in writing. They don't have to change anything. Well, we really need this footbridge urgently. And technically, how can we accommodate more pedestrians? Well, we have different positions. But I'm an engineer myself. And I think the staircase would benefit the people living there. Now, if the 37A motion is passed and if the project is suspended, then I would, of course, object to it. But even if the motion is passed, the project can still go on. That's okay with me. I'm sure the government officials will take the motion into serious consideration. I just want to know what it legally means. So I would like to repeat for those who just come in. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong. Well, Chairman, this is the first time I speak. You cannot speak now. But I have a question, and I want every people to know about it. Now, for the pedestrian flow on the footbridge, and the arrangement of the exits, there is a certain proportion. If there are not enough entrances and exits, then the pedestrians would stay on the footbridge. And if they are moving this motion under 37A, I do not know if this proposal is supported by any technical justifications. Yes, we've heard you. The government has already explained about this to us.
release 出面啲同事。
係啊係啊係啊。好，現在開始表決。
Members, let's proceed to vote now.
現在停止表決，顯示點票結果。
Voting is closed and the result displayed. 7 for, 12 against, 11 abstain. So the 37A motion is rejected. And I'll put the paper FCR 2019-20 35, number 35 to the vote. With those in favor, please raise your hand. Those against, please raise your hands. I think the members, the majority of members are in favor of the item. So let's. This item is approved. The next one would cost $1.4 billion. I think members need more time, and the environment outside is rather chaotic. So I now adjourn the meeting.